Kate, I want to talk about, how Texas is handling the large number of people who've crossed the border into the state. But one other question, and that is, what, under the current rules, what happens to people who are already in the United States? They have crossed the border. Can they still seek asylum here?
Sure, if they've been processed in, once they get into the interior of the United States, maybe they passed a credible fear interview at the border and they were processed in, or they're in the interior, they can apply for asylum. They might either be in removal proceedings if they were apprehended and allowed in which case they prepare for their final hearing before an immigration judge, and they have to put on testimony and evidence and maybe witnesses, maybe an expert. They'll be cross-examined by a Department of Homeland Security attorney. It's quite a rigorous process, and it can take, months to years depending upon the court schedule. They may be eligible to apply for work permission about 5 months after they file for asylum. And so, and what we find through multiple studies is that asylum seekers who are processed in that manner, more than 90%, often 95+% of them actually do prepare and show up for their final asylum hearings because they are incentivized to do that. So there is some rhetoric out there that once an asylum seeker comes into the United States that they abscond, and that is not what the data shows.
Right, and you were talking about the Texas governor earlier on, Greg Abbott. Now, something that he has done, and I should say that he's Republican, he has bused up to 30,000 migrants to Democrat-run cities in the United States, cities like Chicago, Washington, D.C., Boston, and the city of New York. Now, the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, has criticized the Biden administration policies. Let's listen to what the New York mayor had to say.
We are facing an unprecedented state of emergency. The immigration system in this nation is broken. It has been broken for decades. Today, New York City has been left to pick up the pieces. Since last year, nearly 100,000 asylum seekers have arrived in our city asking for shelter.
So, Kate, New York also says that this is costing the city something like $12 billion. But what do we know of the fate of those who were bussed up to these cities?
Well, the way this has worked, and we've seen a lot of these sort of political stunts where, Greg Abbott or Ron DeSantis will bus or even fly migrants up to DC, New York, et cetera. And the whole point is to bring migrants from where they are, where they most often, in my experience, have a plan. They have somewhere to go. They may have a brother in Houston or a sister in Maryland or somewhere to go, but they're taken instead by bus to some other location where their cell phone dies en route, and they're dumped at some civic center in some city that they never intended to be in. And then it looks like there is this chaos and this influx, and that's the whole point. And there is a lot of political and media attention for the governors who are engaging in these activities, and it makes the appearance of the migrant issue look like it is overwhelmed and overrun. What I have seen in the past working with my clients is that once they're processed in, typically they're at border cities where there is infrastructure in place. There are NGOs and other groups and entities who can help get people to the Greyhound bus station to go where they intended to go, and it looks very different than what we're seeing right now.
Right.